Sheriff Judd, you've said jail is too good for these people. Tell us exactly what happened in that home.
Well, it is beyond description, but here's the best we can do with words. This young boy, only 13 years of age, wasn't doing his homework. So they put him on his knees with his hands behind his back, holding a stick on the bathroom floor, and he was told to look straight ahead. This started at 7 in the morning. It went to 4 in the afternoon for 10 straight days. He was only given a protein shake in the morning, nothing else to eat or drink all day long. And at the end of 10 days, he had a 3-day rest when all of a sudden he didn't do his homework again. So they sentenced him to 20 days from 7 a.m. to midnight. And on day 2, he ran away. He was walking down the street about a mile from his house whenever a good Samaritan saw that he was having trouble walking, took him in and called the sheriff's office.
And Sheriff, how was it that the school didn't find out about this? I mean, all those days absence, didn't somebody come looking around? Weren't there any social agencies that might have picked up on this kid having vanished?
Well, I can't release the details of why it wasn't obvious, but he was not in a public school system, if that gives you any indication.
Got it. Judge Karen, now listen, I'm sympathetic to the message that we've got to do our parenting, that people aren't doing enough to kids that misbehave, but come on now. Are we going to go completely in the other direction where people are now becoming overtly abusive and expecting that to help their kids' behavior?
You know what? The behavior of these grandparents, it amounts to cruel and unusual punishment. Cruel and unusual punishment under the Constitution is torture and degradation. These people took parenting far beyond what's acceptable anywhere legally. To beat this child, to bind this child, to not feed this child, to humiliate this child. I read one report that said apparently the mother here is not his biological grandmother, that his biological grandmother lives next door. She said in the past that this boy has been placed in diapers to shame him. My question is, how come she hadn't called the police? How come she hadn't made a claim to child services? And I understand that he's being homeschooled, which is why he wasn't in school, and this wasn't reported to the school. But we don't know what kind of hell has been going on in this house and for how long.
And I got to remind people that these are still all allegations, though an aunt that lives in the same neighborhood, everyone seems to live around these same grandparents. She says the grandparents also made their 13-year-old grandson, as Judge Karen was saying, wear diapers, adult diapers. Take a look at this.
He told us one time he was locked in the closet. He told us they were not feeding him. One time he jumped my fence wearing an adult diaper because he was locked in the bathroom. Toilet seat was duct taped.
Sheriff, and I understand there's also another child that's being looked into. Is that accurate?
Not only looked into, it's a 9-year-old little girl who was also placed on her knees with her hands behind her back for 2 days, and we have charged them with those charges as well. In fact, these charges collectively could get them 120 years apiece in state prison, and quite frankly, that's too good for them. This was beyond torture. Can you even imagine doing this to a 13 and a 9-year-old child? And it is so outrageous. We've not seen a case quite like this in our entire career of law enforcement.
Now, let me sort of... Go ahead, Karen, please.
Under the Florida statute, I mean, they're charged with aggravated child abuse, malicious punishment. Guess what the definition in the Florida statute is of the malicious punishment? Evil intent. And there was nothing but evil intent in what we see here. There was no humanity. Nobody would treat a dog the way that the way these two people treated these two kids. I'm thinking about the hell that these children have been going through for how long? How often? What else has gone on with these kids that we don't know? I care a lot about children. I work with a lot of foster children in Florida, and I'm really upset that everybody in this family seemed to know that something was going on with these children, but nobody reported it to the police. Nobody reported it to child services.
That's the part that I find rather astonishing, is that people knew it, didn't do anything, and I'm wondering what the heck their defense could possibly be. But Sheriff, you had something to say real quick?
Yeah, I would just want to agree with the judge, but Judge, we're into it now, and there's no one that loves children more than me, and our detectives who have done a great job on this, and we're digging in, and we're not going to be satisfied with just these current charges. We're going to go back and do a historical case and bring all the criminal charges we can against these folks.
Bring the
Because
entire
quite frankly,
weight of the system down on them.
Well, we have an
quite
affidavit
frankly,
from
we're
the
going to
sheriff.
do that.
I want to read it to you. It says, listen to this. The boy had 3 red marks on his back, which he said were from Nancy Couson, his, I guess, step-grandmother, hitting him with a stick because she caught him moving around while he was kneeling. Marks and blisters were observed on his knees, which were said to have been the result of being made to kneel for so long. Wow. Now, Sheriff, my understanding is that Child Protective Services is well into this. Do they have these kids?
That's correct. Child Protective Services have the children. When we first saw this young man, he had blisters on both knees. One knee was infected, and he was walking like an 80-year-old man with back problems. That's how much pain this child was in. It is absolutely, words don't describe the absolute horror of this entire event, where he was literally caged in this bathroom and made to sleep at night in the bathtub during his discipline process.
Do we
Oh,
know
my
how
God.
long
Karen,
he's been living there? Do we know how long
Well, he
these
did.
two children?
He did 10 days, and then he was going to do another 20. He made 2 of those, and then went on the lam. Thank God. But Karen, let me ask you a provocative question. I understand this kid had some very, very serious behavioral problems. To me, he sounds like that he needed intensive psychological and psychiatric services. Is that maybe the system that failed these grandparents, and they, out of desperation, end up doing these horrible things?
Oh, no, come on now. Nobody behaves like that. Don't take them off the hook here. These are 2 evil people who had 2 innocent children. These children are staying with them for a reason, probably because their parents weren't taking care of them. And here they're put in with another family, and this family is doing what they're doing. There's no excuse. And they claim to be homeschooling them? What criteria, what qualifications do they have to be homeschooling these children?